from the Toronto studios, this is Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Zahra Syed. Our top story tonight, over 800 Jewish professors have called on President Joe Biden and the Senate to reject a new bill aimed at combating anti-Semitism. The educators argue that the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act could worsen threats against Jewish Americans by wrongly associating criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism. The bill recently passed by the House, despite opposition from progressive Democrats and some Republicans. It seeks to enforce the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance's definition of anti-Semitism. That includes clauses that could penalize legitimate critique of Israeli policies. The professor's letter highlights concerns that this definition has been globally criticized for potentially suppressing free speech and misrepresenting Jewish identity. They suggest alternative definitions of anti-Semitism like those in the Nexus document or Jerusalem Declaration. They believe that this definition offers more effective tools for addressing anti-Semitism without compromising Jewish safety or civil rights. Observers say the letter underscores a broader debate on how anti-Semitism should be defined and addressed in legislation without infringing on the right to protest or criticize state policies. The United Nations General Assembly overwhelmingly passed a resolution to enhance Palestine's membership rights at the world body. In a symbolic defiance to the US and Israel, 143 countries voted in favor, 9 against, and 25 abstained. The United States voted no. The resolution, while not granting full membership, would provide Palestine with increased rights and privileges within the United Nations. Israel's ambassador Gilad Ardan equating the move with legitimizing terrorism. Several Palestinian civilians were killed and injured in Israeli airstrikes in the early hours of Friday, as Israel's war on Gaza marked its 217th day. Israeli fighter jets struck throughout central and northern Gaza, hitting a total of 40 targets. Khan Yunis is one of the areas that Palestinians fleeing Rafah have been heading to. Israel's military says it is pressing on with operations in eastern Rafah, with troops engaging in close quarters combat with fighters. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said Israel is ready to fight with fingernails. This was after President Joe Biden's warning that arms supplies from the United States could be withheld due to Israel's targeting of civilians. Meanwhile, peace talks mediated by Egypt, Qatar, and the United States have failed to reach a resolution due to significant disagreements. Egypt's Al Qahira News reveals that both parties left Cairo without setting a new meeting date. The Palestinian group had accepted a ceasefire proposal drawn up by Egypt and Qatar. The Washington, D.C. police desecrated a copy of the Quran and students' prayer mats at George Washington University. The students were also reportedly denied access to retrieve their religious belongings, with some items allegedly disposed of at a landfill. This occurred early Tuesday morning when hundreds of D.C. Police Department officers began clearing the Free-Palestine camp on campus. They arrested more than 30 protesters, according to D.C.'s Metropolitan Police Department Chief Pamela Smith. A police statement Wednesday morning said police made arrests for assault of a police officer and unlawful entry. Police also used pepper spray on protesters. The Council on American-Islamic Relations has strongly denounced the destruction of the religious items. It says it received photographs depicting prayer mats being discarded into a garbage truck after police dispersed of an anti-genocide encampment. Mississippi Congressman Mike Ezell is being accused by women's activist group Code Pink of assaulting Palestinian-American activist Sumar Mubarak in Washington, D.C. The incident was captured on video and shared on social media. It allegedly shows Ezell slapping Mubarak while he was urging her to cease protesting against the violence in Palestine. According to Code Pink's press release, Mubarak has filed assault charges against Ezell with Capitol Police, who are investigating the incident. Ezell's office in turn has accused Code Pink of being linked to the Chinese Communist Party and attempting to influence Congress's stance on Israel. A groundbreaking study has found an alarming connection between biodiversity loss, climate change, and the increased likelihood of future pandemics. Analyzing nearly 1,500 host-parasite relationships across more than 900 studies, researchers found that human-driven environmental changes significantly amplify disease spread. The findings published in the journal Nature underscore the urgent need for environmental conservation and climate action to prevent future health crises. The study reveals that biodiversity loss escalates illness and death nearly ninefold. As well, factors like invasive species, climate crisis, and chemical pollution worsen disease risks. The NAACP report reveals deep racial inequality in the United States elections. Details come after the break. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. The NAACP has unveiled a comprehensive report highlighting the stark racial disparities in the 2022 U.S. midterm elections, especially in 7 southern states. The document by the civil rights organization emphasizes the urgent need to address systemic flaws to uphold democracy and advance the rights of Black voters. It has identified key issues such as barriers for seniors and voters with disabilities, inadequate voting infrastructure, limited early voting options, and improper conduct by poll workers. The NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund, Inc. has outlined 5 crucial recommendations to safeguard election integrity in the upcoming November elections. These include enhancing infrastructure, voter education, and combating election interference. Muslims in Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and Philadelphia organized an event this week to support a 12-year-old student who had her hijab ripped off by classmates. The community barbecue and educational event in Cambridge, Maryland, aimed to show support for Tory Gibbs and raise positive awareness of Islam. It was hosted by representatives from various mosques. Participants stressed the need for comprehensive anti-bullying measures, including sensitivity training. During the event, Gibbs chose to reconcile with one of her classmates who attacked her. Gibbs, her mother, and community leaders have met with the school district to address better handling of such incidents. Expressing gratitude for the support, Gibbs says she hopes for improved school responses. A lawsuit alleging unlawful isolation of disabled inmates in solitary confinement has been filed against New York prison officials. It highlights instances where individuals' mental and physical health deteriorated as a result of prolonged isolation. Advocates say prison authorities have sidestepped laws aiming to reduce solitary confinement, thereby denying benefits to hundreds with disabilities. Although New York's Department of Corrections and Community Supervision has implemented changes to lessen the use of solitary confinement, critics say their efforts lack transparency and fail to address the specific needs of disabled inmates. A United Nations official has called for immediate financial aid for Rohingya Muslims who fled a military genocide in Burma over 5 years ago. Wrapping up her Bangladesh visit, UN Migration Chief Amy Pope says the funding shortages have led to cuts in aid, notably reducing World Food Program vouchers. Over 1.3 million Rohingyas live in Bangladesh, with 35,000 children born yearly. Many live in cramped camps in the coastal town of Cox's Bazar, while 35,000 relocated to the island of Bhasanchar. Pope's trip focused on addressing humanitarian needs and global migration issues, involving discussions with Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. She has secured donor pledges to aid refugees and unveiled the Rohingya Cultural Memory Center, aiming to preserve their heritage. She has also launched the World Migration Report 2024 in the capital Dhaka, highlighting migration challenges beyond Geneva's scope. Amnesty International is urging an investigation into 2 Somali drone strikes that killed 23 civilians in March. The human rights watchdog group says they could possibly constitute war crimes. Amnesty confirmed civilian casualties via remote interviews, satellite imagery, and other evidence. The strikes occurred amidst Somali-Turkish military cooperation against terrorism. One hit a farm, killing 14 children. Amnesty's regional director is demanding accountability from Somali and Turkish authorities to prevent further civilian harm. A Pakistani court has granted the request of jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan's wife seeking her transfer from their home to the jail where her husband is being held. Bushra Bibi has been convicted in a number of cases along with her husband. She is currently incarcerated at her residence in the capital Islamabad. The Islamabad High Court has ordered authorities to move the former First Lady to Adiala jail. That's all from our Toronto studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. Your support is needed more now than ever to continue our mission of providing informative, educational, and inspiring content to Muslims in North America and around the world. Donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.